All right, Dave. The final session for today, at least.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to generally talk about the supplements. I mean, really tailor-made, great supplements, and in my experience, many of my patients, they will try to change their ways by diet. But not able to get there all the way. So most of the time they come back to me and they want the supplement regime. And as soon as they start with the supplement regime, I see that they get results. So, how did you come up with the supplements, and why did you make them yourself, and what's your experience with using supplements in
Well, I understand. Over the years, I mean, supplements have been around for a long time, and a lot of good companies produce a lot of good supplements. And I think many years ago, before I was ever looking into or using mineral testing, we would use, adrenal support. We would use, if a person had a renal issue, we would use a kidney support, and so on. And again, it was sort of like treating the symptom more than the person. And those products were great. They did a lot of good. But also, back in my early days, the vitamins were multiples largely, and we had individual vitamins, of course, but your multiples, contained everything from A to Z, and the higher the better. We used to think that nutrition, if a little bit's good, a lot's better, and now we know better.
Yes.
That's not the case. Excessive amounts can cause harm as well as prevent harm, and so basically, in light of the metabolic typing, we were able to start, looking at minerals and foods and so forth into those categories of having a stimulatory sedative effect. And some minerals are biphasic; they can do both, and so it was the relationship between the minerals that were more important. Balance is more important than just correcting a deficiency. And of course, we don't see so much of single deficiencies these days, like scurvy, beriberi,
Right.
and that type of thing. Whereas we do see imbalances, and they outweigh, these single deficiencies by, 20, 30 to 1. Many people have these imbalances. And so many people say, well, why do I have to take a supplement, a dietary supplement? And they don't have to. If they can modify their diet and so forth, if they're not too far off as far as their balance, then they can accomplish a great deal through dieting, or through the proper eating habits, I should say, not dieting. But the problem with these major imbalances that we see in people who have chronic imbalances, those deficiencies have been present for a long, long time. And it's very difficult then to replenish those and to rebalance that just through nutrition alone, just through foods. Because let's face it, we don't eat, locally anymore. We don't, many years ago, we would eat what was locally found, and it was natural, and it was nutritious. And now we don't do that. We can eat the same food year round. We don't have to worry about seasons and so forth. Then, of course, we have fast foods that we can get anytime. We can pull over our car at a moment's notice and pick up something to eat. And we know that's not nutritious, by any means. And but some things just taste good, and we do it, from that perspective. So supplements are so important in that we can have higher intake than we can get, simply from food, and we can pinpoint the supplement that a person needs without having to have them overconsume a particular food. For example, let's say a person has a copper deficiency, right? And what food's high in copper? Well, grapes are, or almonds are, okay. But to get if they have a reservoir depletion, and we want to get their copper up, from these years and years and years of deficiency, they would have to eat bucketfuls of almonds and
Right.
grapes and shrimp, to get that up, and you just can't, Whereas the supplement can give us more than you would find in a ounce of food.
Right.
And so many people also have a difficulty responding because they're taking supplements already, and it may be totally contradicted
Right.
in what their metabolic pattern is. Many people take supplements because they hear it's healthy, it's good for the immune system, or good for whatever, and yet it may be the wrong thing for them. So we see the hair analysis results as an indication for people to know what they should take, but also to know what they should not take.
Right.
But I think you're right. If a person can follow the diet, and then or their eating habits, I should say, not a diet, but it's eating habits, and then the supplementation is going to quickly help rebalance that pattern
Right.
than just eating the diet alone. But the diet will do a lot to help that.
And your the trace elements supplements, I mean, they seem to be made in a way that makes them more efficient in a way.
Yes, we try to make those, as synergistic as possible. In other words, each nutrient acts with each other. Like minerals have synergists and vitamins have synergists, but there are also synergism between a vitamin and a mineral. A vitamin would help a mineral work, and vice versa, and minerals will help other minerals work, in the system. And so we try to formulate those based upon that synergism. And then also, years ago, I mean, I used a lot of different types of supplements years ago, but we found that the best mineral actions or results were from chelates.
Yeah.
And so that's why we use chelates. And we just started producing these to make it convenient for our clients. And because I couldn't find a duplicate of the metabolic packs,
Right.
Again, everybody usually wants to put everything in a multiple and not, not specify it.
Some of the experienced therapists in Norway, they say, well, the best way to take a multiple is to take a para pack in the morning and a sim pack in the evening.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because Parapack, in a sense, is a wake-up vitamin. Sim pack is sort of a sleep vitamin. And so together they are complete. Separated, they're fractionated, but together they're complete. And so that's what we typically suggest if the person wants just to take a multiple. We have a lot of people that's all they want to do is just have a multiple, and then this way they're going to get the maximum effect from it.
Right. Instead of taking one nothing happens, or you don't know quite what will happen.
Right. And then a lot of people ask, well, why can't I take all these in the morning and that's it? All the supplements in the morning or something. Well, you want it present throughout the day. That's why we suggest it being taken, morning, noon, and night. But that really means with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, typically.
Right.
And so rather than taking vitamins once in the morning, thinking, well, that's going to have a benefit, throughout the day. Well, it isn't, because once you take it in the morning, you only get so much absorption, and the body will use only so much as it can, and then the rest of it, is going to be either taken out or or not utilized, and so we want it present over a period of time, so that those nutrients are there and getting into the system over a prolonged period. Not once a day just doesn't impact it as much,
I heard some of the therapists say that, we typically only recommend magnesium in the evening because that's when you're most likely to absorb them. Do you feel the same way, or is it okay to take magnesium in the morning too?
Oh, absolutely, it's okay, and for the people that need it, they need to be taking it throughout the day. And I understand why people say that magnesium is calming and so forth, it helps people sleep. But no, there's no bearing on that. I think the magnesium should be taken. If it's showing an extreme need, it needs to be taken throughout the day, not just once or in the evening.
So I think one of the arguments they use for just giving it in the evening is that if you're low on magnesium, it may be because you're stressed out, and when you're stressed out, your body won't take up magnesium as easily as if you're in a state of calmness, and then your absorption rate is better. Is that true, or how do you? Or
Well, you know, I can't argue against that.
Yeah.
but no, I think you know, obviously, if a person is stressed out and they don't, you know, they don't have time to do it, you know, I mean, okay, take it in the evening, you know.
All right.
But I think if a person was highly stressed, they're pretty much stressed most of the time.
And so
You know?
take it regularly.
I would
throughout the
take
day.
it regularly, yeah, throughout the day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
because
good
you
to
know, when you develop a deficiency, it takes a long time to get that built back up, and to you know to only take it once a day, you know, isn't well. Let's say the guy is stressed out, okay, and to think that taking it once a day, then when they're not under as much stress, you know, but they are, you know, they're stressed constantly, you know, it's not going to have as much of an impact. It'd be like it'd be like an alcoholic. Okay, alcohol causes, you know, extreme loss of magnesium from the body, right? So you could tell the alcoholic, well, just take it in the morning before you have a drink, and that'd be better, right? But no, when he has the alcohol at night, you know, he's going to lose it, right? So why not give it throughout the day? To say that a person that's under stress is all of a sudden not under stress at night, I don't think so. I think that's occurring 24 hours a day. You know, I guess we're talking about clinical conditions here, not just a generalization.
Right. I also see you have a very interesting graph sitting here, Dave. It relates to fast and slow, and you know, I've heard you say before that most of us are born fast. Could you show us the graph and
yes, yeah, this was a question. Yeah, this was a question from I think some of your the practitioners, and they were saying, well, if we're typically born fast, is there a certain time that you see people flipping to slow? And so this is a graph that I made up showing, you know, over 30,000 people from Scandinavia. And basically, what I did was graph the metabolic types based on age, from like 0 to over 90 years of age. And here you can see the red represents the sympathetic group, and then the blue represents the parasympathetic group. And so we can see predominantly that most people, you know, children, I think, are born as fast metabolic types. But here we can see that around 15 years of age, there's a crossover where all of a sudden the slow metabolic patterns becomes predominant all the way up through up into the 60s and beyond. And so I guess the question is, what made these fast metabolic patterns shift into, you know, or become predominantly slow in the population? And I think that's due to a number of things. One thing that we've found, you know, when we do families, we do twins, we find that the offspring will follow the pattern of one of the other parents, and it can be the father or the mother. Father has just as much influence on these mineral patterns as the mother,
really?
Interestingly enough, yeah. And this is why, you know, children are susceptible to conditions their parents had, because they do have those mineral patterns that they somehow
so it's not just the genes, it's
develop.
also they inherit kind of the mineral pattern,
right? And then
that
you know,
they can change.
And then so if the child's born fast and both his parents are slow, you know, he's eventually probably going to head toward the slow. And there's a lot of things that contribute to that. Obviously, the environment, the eating habits that the parents have, that you know the children are going to develop, and so forth. Then obviously genetics, you know, is going to be a factor too. But then illnesses, you know. Children that get recurring viral infections, you know, viruses causes a slow metabolic rate, and sometimes these viruses become chronic, you know, from birth, chronic ear infections, that type of thing, and that can push them, you know, more predominantly into a slow metabolic pattern. And then obviously heavy metals, antibiotics, and other illnesses can contribute to that as well.
So it is true that most kids are born fast, and then they eat themselves slow by puberty.
Yes, they can.
That's mostly due to the parents' life situation.
That can be.
It
sure can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as usual, very interesting day. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll do it again sometime.
Okay, look forward to it. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.